say good morning, good evening at 12 o'clock. So, sweet noon. This is the secrets of your soul. You are very welcome here. And today we are having the first live, but actually it's the second week of the series which treat about parents, parenting, child with anxiety. When our children, our child, maybe they can be a young child, they can be a teenager, they can be a young adult. But when our child suffers from anxiety, something happens. It's a kind of all the house suffers from anxiety together alongside this child, and you can have feelings which are maybe difficult or scary to admit we have. Why am I talking about this? Well, I am finishing my degree in psychology. I am specializing in anxiety and depression, but the most important reason why I talk about this is because that is a reality of my own life. I have suffered alongside my daughter for many years, and I am still living with this. My daughter is quite better, but still suffer from anxiety and depression. And I would like to share with you what I felt, what I have lived, and ensure you that it's absolutely normal. You feel some things that are difficult to admit because you suffer alongside your child when your child is suffering. Either from anxiety, from depression, or from any other psychological suffering, you suffer alongside your child. So I have here some things that I would like to talk with you. Um, First, that's not to fix your child, that is not to strengthen you to be stronger to lead with this. No, it's not for that. That is a space thought to be a safe space and no judgmental space to talk about what we feel parenting a child with anxiety or with depression, what we feel as parents when our children are suffering with any psychological issue, any mental health issue. But I talk mostly about anxiety and depression because that is my own experience, and is what I am focusing my studies. So let's see some things that we usually feel. We can feel exhausted. We feel exhausted to lead, to manage the situation at home. We can feel isolated because other families has another dynamic of life. They don't need to manage things we need to manage to avoid that our child can have a crisis, anxiety crisis. So we manage our routines to be less intensive. We cannot be everywhere. We start to withdraw from social events because our child is not able to be there. Maybe our child suffer from social anxiety and doesn't feel good with the other people. So what we do is we start to stopping to be in social events. So we suffer isolation, also maybe shame because we are labeled, our child is labeled as the anxious or the ADHD child or the depressed child. And sometimes we feel hopeless. We can feel hopeless when we can't get the help you need. I will give you my own experience. My youngest daughter got some help from NHS in CBT, but it was not giving the positive results we was expecting to have. Actually, this was harmful for her. So I felt helpless because from the NHS I didn't have any other option. And by other hand, I couldn't pay. I paid for a while a private psychologist, but I couldn't keep paying. So I felt totally hopeless. I didn't have anybody to help me to help my daughter. And even when we have, maybe we feel that's not working. I want to see my son, my daughter better, and the things go on, and that not happen. We want to see a healing. We want to see our child become normal, what we call normal, quickly, and that not happens. We feel hopeless. We can feel jealous. I remember that when my daughter was in their worst years with anxiety and depression, I looked to her friends, all of them were getting a boyfriend, going to the university, or getting a work, and my daughter was not. So I felt jealous. Why? I felt also anger. Why that have to happen with my daughter? Why all her friends are getting a normal life, a good life, and my daughter is in this situation suffering with anxiety, self-harming, trying suicide. My daughter tried suicide sometimes. So the anger and the jealousy can be feelings we have as a parent who has a child with anxiety or frustration because you have imagined a life for our children, for our child. We have imagined that our child would finish school, would get a job, would go to university, would get a marriage. Hello, Nila. What's my name? Audrey. Audrey is my name. Welcome here, Nila. So that when we see everything I have dreamed for my child, for the future of my child, is seeming so far away, so difficult to happen, we start to feel a kind of grief. It's a grief for the life you have dreamed for your child, and now you are seeing your child looks like will not have or is so far from have this. That provocate, that create a feeling of grief, even more because we wait that things happen and things doesn't happen soon. So we start to think that will never become better. My daughter, my son will never have the life I thought I dreamed for them. We start to mourning, and we start also to be super vigilant, to take care of everything, to be in a state of alert all time, because you want to protect our child. We don't want to have our child exposed to any trigger that can produce a crisis. So we become hyper protective, hyper vigilant, and we start to become very exhausted and overwhelmed, and the guiltness appears for two reasons: because we feel overwhelmed, and you think, but it's my child, I should take care well of my child, I shouldn't be overwhelmed. But there is another reason, most deeper maybe. We start to think, what did I do wrong with my child? Is that provoked by my anxiety, or did I make any mistake with my child? That is why my child is suffering of anxiety. Or we can think, if I was calmer, my child would be calmer. Look, the anxiety or any other psychological suffering happens for many reasons together: for biology, for temperament, for events in the life, for social context, that doesn't happen for just one thing, doesn't happen for one action, doesn't happen for one mistake, doesn't happen for one parent. That happens for many factors together. Hello, Cherry LaGuardia. Hi, welcome here. Very good to have you here. This care we have with the child change completely all the life of the family, and it's absolutely normal. We feel overwhelmed. Hello, your Subar. Hi, welcome here. How are you? We also have other things that change in the family life when we have a child with anxiety. We change our routines, we also change our financial lives, because surely often we have to be off work because you have to give more support for the child. We have to buy medication, maybe we have, as it was in my case, to pay for therapy. So even our financial life is affected for this anxiety in the family, for our child suffering from anxiety. No, it's not your Suba. It's not. I am now in England. I am studying psychology here. The relationship between the parents also suffer some difficulties. The relationship can have some conflicts because both of parents are feeling overwhelmed by the situation. We can also lose spontaneity, because now we are all the time focused on avoid our children to feel anxious. So we are never spontaneous, we are always vigilant. Social withdrawal, we stop to go the events, the environments we usually went. Some thoughts we can have is, did I cause this? I should have seen it earlier. I thought this. If I have realized earlier that my daughter was suffering from anxiety, if I had looked for help earlier, maybe my daughter was not so deep in anxiety now. She was diagnosed with chronic anxiety. But that is not your fault. As I said before, that's caused for many elements, many factors together. It's not cause for one parent. That your child suffer from anxiety doesn't mean that you have failed, that you failed. It's not a failure, but your presence beside your child, yes, it means you care about. You can both together. Hello, Sasha Wash. You can love your child and feel overwhelmed. You can love your child and feel exhausted. That can coexist. Hello, the people commenter. Hello, welcome here. So don't blame yourself. Think like this. If your friend, your best friend, would be in your situation, would you blame them? Or would you recognize how strong, how hard they are trying and working to take care of their child? So look at yourself with the same eyes. Don't blame yourself. Allow yourself feel overwhelmed, feel this kind of grief, feel exhaustion. What can you do to cope with this anxiety that becomes the house anxiety? You can separate yourself from anxiety. You are more than an anxiety manager. And your child's anxiety is not your identity. You are more. Reduce the accommodation gently. Sometimes we rearrange our lives to prevent our child from feel anxious. That helps for a short time, but in the long term, this makes the anxiety strong. This doesn't work, it doesn't help in a long term. Find one space for yourself. Find a friend who talks about this, or talk about anything. Find a therapist. Find a hobby. Go outside for 5 minutes. You can regulate your own nervous system doing this. Going outside, breathe slowly, be conscious of your body. These small resets matter, helps you. So those are some suggestions to help you to cope with this situation, with the overwhelming feeling that it comes upon us, parents who are parenting a child with anxiety. I hope that help you. If you'd like, comment the feeling that you have identified yourself, and if was good for you, follow this channel. I hope this channel can be a safe environment to talk about parenting children with anxiety or depression. And if you know another parent who is passing through this, share this video with them. Sometimes one word, listen, one warm word can help us don't feel so alone. So I thank you for being here. I hope I have give you some new light in this situation and some hope in this situation. I will be here the next Wednesday at noon London time. Thank you for those who have been here and have commented here. See you next week.